guys, Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. Hopefully it finds you all doing well. If not, sending some positive vibes your way today. So I was hanging out with that friend, that one friend, the only friend that I have, period.
Are you okay?
Nah, the only friend that I have that plays Raid Shadow Legends. He's a free-to-play-ish player. I think he spent around $20 or so throughout the history of his account. And I saw him, just kind of showing me his account, just kind of messing around a little bit, you know, feeding a champion, upgrading another champion. And I saw him feed an epic champion that I would definitely not advise he uses as food. So I thought I would include that champion in today's list. Now, most of these champions, everybody except one, I've maxed out and I've played these champions myself, and I stand behind how valuable they can be, especially to kind of mid-game players and progression accounts. But without further ado, we have, I think, 12 epic champions who are not food. You should be keeping them or thinking about how you might be able to utilize them. So I want to start out with 3 clan boss specialists, guys. Clan boss specialists. We don't talk a lot about these champions. In fact, I don't think I've ever even talked about Aina here.
Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing.
Her multipliers are insane. She's a clan boss damage dealer. However, she is squishy, 760 on the base defense. So we do advise you put defensive on the ring and put defense on the banner as well. That's a nice kind of cheat for any champion that has a really, really low base defense like this. We're going to talk about another one in just a moment here because you can get those flat stat HP stats right from your accessories, and then you can focus on attack percentage on the chest, right? And crit damage on the amulet. Aina's multipliers are insane. You can see them on the screen right now, guys. They are, let me pull up Hell Hades. Actually, let's just show her here. They give her a 2.1 godlike rating on her A1, right? That's a 2-time hitter. A 6.4 godlike rating on her A2. These are really, really hard-hitting abilities. And then a 6.4 godlike rating on her A3 as well. So 3 incredibly strong attacks here, guys. We have the big version of Weaken for 3 turns as well. And then we have Decreased Defense for 3 turns. So we have decreased defense and weaken, albeit on a 5-turn cooldown, but still lasts for 3 turns. If you have a debuff extender, really going to help out alongside Aina, and she can deal just an insane amount of damage, especially on unkillable teams, because in those situations, we don't care how low her base defense is. So Aina, number 1, do not use her as food. Try her out in Clan Boss. You guys will not regret it. All right, next up is going to be, speaking of squishy Clan Boss champions, Fane, another 727 on the defense. But she, I mean, basically everything I just said about Aina, we could say about Fane. As I said, I'm starting out with 3 Demon Lord specialists. People can take advantage of champions like this because not only are they bringing a lot of damage to the table, as we spoke about, but also some of the most important debuffs. We had decreased defense and weaken on Aina. On Fane, we have a 2-time hitter on the A1. On the A2, we have attack 1 enemy, 3-turn cooldown, 2 poisons, and decrease attack. On the A3, decrease defense and weaken on a triple hitter. So Fane can deal a lot of damage and bring 3 of the most quintessential debuffs: decrease defense, weaken, and decrease attack that you're looking for in a clan boss battle, plus poison damage on top of it all. Man, Fane is a great, great champion. And then the 3rd clan boss specialist champion for you guys is going to be none other than Anax. So Anax is, again, talk about heavy, heavy hitter. Very strong multipliers on Anax, especially his A1, as you guys can see on the screen. We are also bringing decreased defense, 35% chance, 40% with the sniper mastery on the A1. That is on each hit, so it's actually a pretty dependable land for a clan boss. On the A2, a 2-time hitter with decreased accuracy and a poison for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. And then on the A3, we have a weaken big version on a 3-turn cooldown with a heal. Furthermore, he has increased defense every time his HP below drops 75%, increased attack anytime his HP drops below 50%, and then the active is grants an extra turn with his champion's HP drops below 10%. Just be careful on unkillable teams that can screw up your team that extra turn if his HP does drop below 10%. Better off using a champion like Helikath with Anax, that way you're blocking damage as well, as opposed to an unkillable like a Santa or something like that. that. Or a, you know, I think Maneater probably would be a better example for you guys. All right, so next up is going to be, let's go ahead and talk about a champion that I actually have mentioned her a few times, and it's Sanguinea, man. She's a really, by the way, no voids on the list, because I think when you pull a void epic, you're at least going to look into the champion, hopefully. You know, see how people, how they're ranked on tier list or whatever. Go to Hell, Hades, Ayumi love. But I find that non-void epics, sometimes people just throw them in the vault or use them as food, you know? Sanguinea is a beast. First of all, look at those base stats. 20k on the HP, 1100 on 1200 almost on the defense, and 105 on the speed, triple hitter, giant slayer, extra damage on the A1, decreased duration of 2 random busts on the target by 1 turn, not too bad at a 30% hit, happens on each hit, and there are 3 hits. And then we have block debuffs and continuous heal for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Really good ability here. And Holy Blood, granted the block debuffs is only 1 turn, but continuous heal, at least there's 2 turns. There's a lot of healing and blocking debuffs 1 out of every 3 turns. On the A3, we get a cleanse and 100% chance of transferring all her debuffs to the target. Removes all debuffs from all allies except this champion. Dude, what a great champion. She also has accuracy in Doom Tower battles by 55 on the aura. All right, guys, next up is going to be a Shadowkin. What am I doing? Where am I going? Shadowkin champion is Burengiri! There he is. What a monster of a champion this dude is. And I don't think, like, I think a lot of people respect Burengiri. You know, you can use him to solo easier difficulties of Bommel, which is really cool. He has his passive, heals his champion by 50% of their max HP whenever an ally or an enemy dies, which is pretty cool. He has a big version of Strengthen and a Shield. On a 4-turn cooldown, but there's not many epics in the entire game who have the big version of Strengthen. We're getting it here on a really solid ability plus the shield, okay, with less than 50% HP. On the A3, though, this dude is bringing a defense-based AoE attack with a 60% stun on a 3-turn cooldown. That's unheard of for an epic champion, with the exception of Archmage Helmet, right? So both him and Archmage Helmet, 2 of the most reliable stunners out there. I guess Husk at 60% too, but there's not that many, right? So on a 3-turn cooldown, even more makes him incredibly valuable there. So he's bringing the control, he's bringing the strengthen, he's bringing the shield, and he has a provoke on his A1 as well. And he has good base defense, easy to keep this dude alive, especially with that passive as well. Brings resist to all battles on top of all of that. All right, guys, let's go ahead and talk about this dude, man. Again, I mentioned this guy a couple times. It's Giz Card the Beguiled, man. He is a beast of a champion, right? We look at this ability as A3, increased defense and increased attack on the same ability. That's kind of like Mithrala Lifebane, man.
Are you out of your mind?
Okay, it's not that good. He doesn't have the cleanse on top of it, but or the hex, I should say, on top of it. But still, there's not that many champions in the game. Only a handful, a small handful, that have increased defense and increased attack, big version on a 3-turn cooldown. So more damage out of your defense-based nukers, more damage out of your attack-based nukers, and everybody stays alive longer. So really good ability. Look at his base defense. That's like a legendary base defense, almost 1500 as well. He has an AoE provoke, 75% chance at landing, and then a shield on himself on the A2. Decent multipliers, I want to say around a 3.3 or so on the A2. And then we have a decreased attack on the A1, 75% chance of landing. Man, a really good support champion. I don't know why people sleep on this dude. He's a really good A-tier epic champion in the game. Fills his champions turn meter by 15% whenever they are attacked by an enemy, either under provoke or increase attack. So he's constantly turning his filling his turn meter, which again is great because that leads to more increased defense, more increased attack, more AoE provokes, and then on his A1, more decreased attack as well. So a really nice kit, very synergistic. I'm a big fan. Can you tell of Giz Card the Beguiled? All right, the next up, guys, is going to be, oh man, this champion is a boss. Cornelia, the freaky porcelain doll champion. Yo, what's up, Cornelia? How you doing? How you doing, girl?
You have failed me for the last time.
All right. So Cornelia, man, she's a monster. I gotta thank my man YST, great YouTuber, a big fan of his channel, and he has so many videos on Cornelia. And the truth is, she is such a versatile champion for an epic champion. 109 base speed. She can solo several Doom Tower bosses, really abusing her very unique kit, right? So she has a sleep on an ally or herself on a 2-turn cooldown, heals that ally by 50% of their max HP, fills their turn meter by 50% whenever the sleep debuff expires or gets removed, right? Heals ally by 100% and completely fills the turn meter if it's lost to taking damage from an enemy. So you can see why this ability allows her essentially to be immortal, to stay alive as long as she's not, you know, one shot essentially. So really good ability here on the A3. And then we have an AoE sleep on the A2 ability. She's again very fast, 109 base speed, so you can make her, if you don't have a Prince Kymar and you want to CC the enemy team in the arena, look no further than Cornelia, guys. She comes in with high resist, very high speed, again, easy to scale that up. She goes after your turn meter booster, so like your Seeker or your Arbiter on your team, and she comes in, she puts everybody to sleep, and then your debuffer and your nuker, even a single target nuker, can just 1, 2, 3 pop them out one at a time because they're all going to lose their turn to this sleep as long as you don't wake them up. So really good versatility overall in Cornelia, and just an amazing champion overall. All right, next up, guys, is going to be, this is actually a champion that I think I did a guide on her, but I haven't said her name once again on the channel, and it's Visionary. Maybe I didn't do a guide on her, but she's a really sneaky, special, and good champion, guys. On her A1, right? Ectoplasm attacks one enemy. I like that, saying that. Ectoplasm. I don't know why, but I like that ability name. I don't know what it means, but cool. I'm sure some of you guys do. 30% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. The chance increases to 100% if they're under decreased crit rate or decreased crit damage. Can you talk, Ash? Come on, man. An AoE on Haunt on the A2, 3-turn cooldown, AoE attack again. Decreased crit rate and decreased crit damage, both the big versions for 2 turns. Now, decreased crit rate, 30%, is amazing because that can mitigate the critical attack of every single boss in this game, right? Bosses, we're looking at 15% or a 30% critical rate. So we are just mitigating all of those really hard attacks that are liable to wipe your team. You ever have one of those dungeon runs or a clan boss run that all of a sudden one attack just feels like, whoa, where did that come from? My whole team's dead. Well, that's a critical hit, and she can mitigate that, right? So, and not to mention the crit damage. So, a really good ability on an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown. And then she brings the opposite, the inverse, to everybody on your squad. Increased crit rate and increased crit damage for 2 turns, also with a turn meter fill of 15%. She has speed in dungeons by 24%. I'll tell you what, guys, it's one of those kits that does not jump off the page at you, but trust me on this one. She's a really sneaky good champion because of the increase and decrease crit rate and crit damage. Helps mitigate damage and improve damage from all of your nukers, all of your champions as well. So Visionary, definitely not a food champion. I can't believe I'm going to be talking about this champion in today's video, guys. I can't believe it, but I did a guide on the new and improved Woad Painted, and let me tell you, she lived up to expectations. I feel a little small next to these champions. There we go. There we go. I'm taking center stage. Move out of the way, Woad. If you missed that video, I'll try to remember to link it, or you can just search Ash Raid Shadow Legends Woad Painted. I think it's titled like, is she really the game's best healer? And if you're just looking for raw, sheer heals, it's really close, but I think she might take the cake. That's incredible from a champion who was the worst epic in the game just 6 months ago, right? So this Undying Fury now, it got a total reworked, right? 4-turn cooldown, removes all buffs from this champion and 1 random debuff from all allies, then heals this champion by 100% of their max HP, and heals all allies equal to 50% of the surplus heal. Afterwards, plays a reflect damage on all allies for 2 turns and grants this champion an extra turn. So it's a 4-turn, but really a 3-turn when booked because of that extra turn proccing as well. And that heal, you know, again, you can't really see it, but you can see it on the video. I compared it to like all the other best healers in the game, and she out-healed them all, right? This ability now, that surplus heal, is just like a complete heal half the time on all of your allies. It is insane. So yeah, she's okay now. She has a use case now. Definitely worth it if you're looking for that kind of mid-game healer for Woad Painted. All right, guys, this next dude is another champion that I did a full guide on, and I have to say here, this was the champion that poor old Ryan, my man, he fed. He fed Hatasu. I didn't catch him in time, man. I didn't catch him in time. I'm like, dude, this guy's a boss, man. How are you doing on Shadowkin Faction Wars right now? And he's like, not good. And I'm like, dude, this guy could carry you, man. Come on, bro.
I really regret opening my mouth and talking to you.
He has a leech on the A1, which is great. He does read a lot. 9 levels on the A1, you never want to see that, do you guys? But he does have the leech. 60% chance of landing if you're inclined to use 9 epic books on him, right? On the A2, an AoE decrease attack on a 3-turn cooldown. On the A3, increase defense and a continuous heal on all allies on a 3-turn cooldown. So we're bringing increased defense, we're bringing some heals, continuous heal, we're bringing some more heals off that leech on the A1, and then he's removing a random debuff at the start of each turn. He's going to prioritize removing the CC debuff, so he can cleanse off those fears, true fears, petrification, provoke. Well, you guys can see, stun, he'll just cleanse that right off. It is on a 3-turn cooldown, but very handy as well. And if his kit couldn't get more versatile, more better, he has increased defense by 25% in all battles. So a really solid support champion, guys. I have 2 more, including the one champion that I have not maxed out. I have not actually used here on the list, but we'll save her for last. Right now, we're going to talk about Hope. I made a video, what was it, about a week or 2 or 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, where I built random champions that I pulled. I opened 40 ancient shards, right? And then from every group of 10 champions, I picked one champion to put together on a team, and Hope was one of those champions. And I have to say, did I do 50 champions? Maybe it was 50 shards, I don't know. Or maybe it was 1 sacred and 40. Either way, Hope was one of those champions. So I built her for that video, on that video, right? And boy, she's a really solid champion. She's got 21k base HP. She is an HP-based epic champion from Sacred Order. She has on her A1 block buffs, 50% chance of landing, not bad. On the A2, increase the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn. You guys know how much I love these abilities, right? Increased duration of all buffs is a golden ability. Increase the duration of all debuffs, right? Always value that when you see that in a champion's kit, right? I say that because in the day, I didn't value that too much. I was just like, increased duration, whatever, you know? That can make a massive difference. Think about it. You have a champion with block debuffs for 2 turns. Well, now it's 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, right? I mean, that has a major effect on the whole ramifications of the entire rest of the battle, right? So we also have a shield. 25% of this champion is max HP, and her HP is very high, so it's a really girthy shield there. On the A3 and AoE, 75% chance of removing all buffs on a 3-turn cooldown. Man, that is really solid. I always look for buff removers, so you can use her even in Hydra Clan Boss. You can really use her everywhere. Very cool and versatile champion in Hope. Again, I wouldn't call her an endgame champion. I'm not here to, be super hyperbolic on all these champions, say that the best champion ever in the game. I tried to pick champions I don't talk about that often here on the channel, who I feel like are maybe not deep sleepers, but champions that definitely would not feed on any of my accounts, free to play or pay to win. The last one is the champion that I have not maxed, but maybe I ought to, because her kit really is strong. And it's Melga Steel Girl. You can see there's like almost no nukers on my list. That's because I feel like the nukers are pretty well defined, right? But there's Siege Hulk, who's not a bad nuker, underrated nuker. Shatterbones is a nice kind of control nuker. Galkut, Soul Drinker are really fun. But Genbo, Magnar, those champions are usually the most popular nukers in the epic category. Skull Crown. Melga Steel Girl, though. Man, I'm going on a tangent here, huh, guys? My bad. So we have an HP-based champion. Again, solid base HP, 21k. With chance of removing a buff from a random ally, a debuff. Not bad on the A1. Again, 9 levels, so yeah, gross. That's gross. Place a shield buff on all allies. Again, 20% of this champion's max HP. And then she's also placing a continuous heal, and this is on a 3-turn cooldown, so eat that, Hope. Actually, they're much different abilities, because we don't have the increase the duration. We do have a little bit of a weaker shield. However, we do have a continuous heal on a 3-turn, not a 4-turn. And then she revives 2 random allies on a 5-turn cooldown with 20% HP, 20% turn meter. Also a shield on them. It will have 30% of their max HP. Frankly, it's not the strongest revival out there in the game, but it's a dwarf who's a reviver. We really needed that at the time, and we need it today still. Great champion overall. You're getting a lot of healage, a lot of shieldage, and then some reviverage. Guys, thank you so much for watching. HP and all battles by 15% too. Not too bad. Thank you so much for watching. Who is your favorite epic? Or have you ever been in that situation? Have you regretted using an epic champion as food? I want to know about it in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, take care, guys.